One of the bitter lessons that Republicans learned last week from the election is that they may have to appeal to Hispanic voters, and that's changing their views on immigration reform.
Gordon, David Brody talked with influential Hispanic leaders about the future of that issue and the Hispanic vote.
President Obama's re-election has become a wake-up call that has the GOP at attention. Topping the list, a lack of outreach to Hispanic voters. The GOP slide is palpable, from 44% in 2004 down to 31% in 2008, and in 2012, a new low, 27%. It has some notable conservative commentators changing their tune on a key issue to Hispanics, a pathway to citizenship for illegal immigrants.
We've got to get rid of the immigration issue altogether. It's simple for me to fix it. I think you control the border first. You create a pathway for those people that are here. You don't say you got to go home. And that is a position that I've evolved on.
In the last week, the GOP leadership in Washington has signaled they may be ready to move on the issue. Sammy Rodriguez, president of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, has been imploring the GOP to embrace immigration reform for years. On this week's Brody File show, the influential evangelical leader had this message for the top Republican in the country, House Speaker John Boehner.
Mr. Speaker, I hope you received the proverbial wake-up call on Wednesday morning after the election. I think the Republican Party and the entire nation, for that matter, woke up to La Bamba. They listened to Hispanic music playing from California to New York. This is the Latino hour in America, socially, politically, spiritually.
Rodriguez's organization is joining forces with other prominent conservative Christian groups with a message to evangelicals that this next year is crucial for their voices to be heard on the issue.
We have great organizations, not in favor of amnesty, but in favor of reconciling the rule of law with providing a pathway, treating the stranger amongst us as one of ourselves, reconciling Romans 13 and Leviticus 19. Now, we want to see those in the pews, the members in the pews, really serving as advocates in favor of immigration reform.
Beyond immigration, Rodriguez believes a pro-family, conservative Republican Party can make serious inroads with the Latino community. A new survey shows 69% of Hispanic Americans think public schools should teach biblical values, and 66% believe in traditional marriage. But Rodriguez says until immigration reform is solved, not much will change.
Immigration reform is the proverbial Jordan in order for the Republicans to step into the promised land of the Hispanic electorate.
David Brody, CBN News, Washington.
Well, I think Republicans are trying to get a big heaping plate of tacos del pastor, but unfortunately it may come off as pandering. We'll see. They've got 2 years to appeal to a very significant portion of the electorate. Well, Lee Webb has a look at a new Hispanic report on Hispanics and their faith. Lee?
That's right, Gordon. The survey comes from the Christian research company, the Barna Group. It says more than half of all Hispanics identify with the term Hispanic or Latino over Christian or Catholic. At the same time, more than 4 out of 5 Hispanics describe themselves as part of the Christian faith, and 7 in 10 say the Bible is the inspired Word of God. That is higher than the 65% of non-Hispanic Americans who say the same. The Barna Group says Hispanics are such an important demographic that it's now opening a new Hispanic division to better understand that community. The president of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops says the church will never comply with the Obama administration's mandate to provide birth control coverage and health insurance. Cardinal Timothy Dolan says the bishops are open to talks with the government about that requirement, but he says they will keep challenging the mandate in legislatures and the courts. The mandate includes providing coverage for sterilization and drugs that induce abortions. There will not be enough family doctors to go around by the year 2025. That's because Americans are getting older and the population of the country growing. Plus, Obamacare will bring health insurance to another 38 million people, and that means new patients without more personal physicians to help them. The U.S. does have plenty of doctors, but not enough of them decide to become personal physicians, often for financial reasons. One medical expert tells ABC, expect long waits if we cannot figure out how to resolve it. The only place left to go for primary care will be the emergency room. He adds that more people will die from basic preventable illnesses like hypertension. Thousands of people are still without power and heat, and some still don't have water more than 2 weeks after Superstorm Sandy. And many remain frustrated that they cannot start rebuilding their lives. Operation Blessing teams are helping out in some of the hardest hit areas.
Operation Blessing has teams all throughout New York City and also in New Jersey. We're helping residents gut homes. We're helping them go through their belongings so they can salvage what's left and also salvage their memories. Operation Blessing still also serving hot meals and handing out boxes and bags full of non-perishable foods to help the residents, because still weeks later, thousands of people are without power, without water, and without heat.
Meanwhile, Guatemala is still recovering from a major 7.4 earthquake last week and a major aftershock Sunday. The death toll is at 44, and well over 1 million people are dealing with the aftermath. Operation Blessing was among the first responders there and is still on the scene. CBN's Ken Hulme is there with them.
Crumpled cars and collapsed buildings are signs of the worst earthquake in Guatemala since the 1970s. But in the aftermath of this devastation in San Marcos and the surrounding areas, it's the human suffering that seems to speak the loudest. This is Victor.
Today, San Marcos is suffering.
The government now estimates that 24,000 have lost their homes. People like Odilia, a single mother of 4.
We lost everything, our house and everything that was inside it. We were very scared. Now what we need is help to survive.
Operation Blessing has been working hard to bring that help. One of the first on the scene, Operation Blessing brought trucks with 20,000 pounds of food, water, household and personal items, which had been assembled into family bags back at the warehouse. By the morning after the quake, when Operation Blessing arrived, the need was palpable. When we weren't handing out bags in organized distributions, we went to homes and shelters in the surrounding communities. There, we found the needs were just as great. In the days that followed, we also brought additional assistance, a truckload of bedding, more water, more supplies, and medicines. Then we met a teenager named Lady, who suffers with lupus. Without medicine, her pain is unbearable. So we brought her enough medicine to last 6 months. She expressed her gratitude, for the most part, without words. And of course, we couldn't forget Odilia. For now, she's staying here with the children in this shell of a building that was once her home. We gave her a bag filled with food and other commodities, as well as 2 foam pads to sleep on.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Challenging times on 2 fronts for those folks and Operation Blessing, but Gordon, the reward is great.
The reward is great when we're there, and we're there in your name. We were able to mobilize a relief team out of Guatemala City, because that's where the Operation Blessing headquarters is. That's where CBN International has its Latin American headquarters, is in Guatemala City. So we were able to be first on the ground with 20,000 pounds of food. And it's not just in Guatemala. When disasters strike, we want to strike back. And we're there in your name, right in New York City, to some of the hardest hit areas where we've got relief teams working in Rockaway Beach, New York, Coney Island, Staten Island. There are news reports that they feel left out. They're not left out on our list. We've got teams working Staten Island, Breezy Point, New York, and then Mystic Island, New Jersey are the major areas where we're providing relief, and we're doing it in your name. If you want to give to Operation Blessing, all you have to do is call us, 1-800-759-0700. Just say, yes, I want to be part of the relief. When disasters strike, our motto is we want to strike back, and we want to strike back with love and compassion and very tangible help for people in need. So if you want to give to it, the address is on the screen, Disaster Relief Fund, CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463. Or you can call us and give via credit card, or just log on to CBN.com. There's a place on the home page where you can click on that, and 100% of your gift will go into disaster relief, whether it's in Guatemala, New York City, or wherever disasters are around the world. We want to be there, and we want to be there in your name.
High school students in South Carolina can continue to earn credits by taking religion courses off campus. The U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear an appeal by the Freedom from Religion Foundation challenging that policy. In July, a federal appeals court upheld a lower court decision in favor of the program. Swedish officials are halting the deportation of an Iranian Christian seeking asylum. Reza Jabari converted to Christianity in 2010. He moved to Sweden and applied for asylum because of the persecution he feared if he returned back to Iran. Swedish authorities originally rejected Reza's request. They questioned his conversion and said they're not convinced that he does face danger back in Iran. His pastor, though, says Reza has a deep Christian identity and actively participates in street evangelism and church activities. Today, the Swedish government decided to grant Reza a new hearing. Religious freedom advocates report Christians who convert from Islam are often imprisoned and can be put to death in Iran. You can find out more about this story and get the rest of our stories by going to our website at cbnnews.com.